Property management charges. An awful lot of people are paying significant amounts for shared services, but many feel that they could be getting much better value for their money. So could residents have more control over these expenses? Well, Bill Tyson has been looking into it.
Multi-unit developments such as apartment blocks and housing estates sprang up in the boom. Apartments now account for just over 10% of all occupied households nationally and almost 1/3 of all household types in Dublin City. In multi-unit developments, owners must pay charges for communal services and facilities like gardening, insurance, lighting and waste. Hundreds of thousands are liable to pay these annual service charges, and some are not happy with what they are getting for their money.
The fees have gone up by nearly €200 from a figure of around 700 to 900, near enough, while the services have actually been either completely suspended or completely reduced.
The windows aren't cleaned every year, neither are the gutters, the grass is not cut often enough, our bins are not included, the place is not maintained, and the whole area hasn't been painted since 2006.
We're paying €900 a year for the fee. Don't feel we're getting value for money, and it's not very transparent what we're actually paying for.
Apartment owners were all signed a lease when they bought their apartments, and that is one area of confusion actually. So I don't own a lease, I own my apartment. It's actually a lease that you got, and that lease says that you must pay service charges in return for getting your services. Poor service can be a problem, but from my perspective, I think what is a bigger problem is a lack of engagement from apartment owners in the running of their own development.
When you buy in a multi-unit development, you automatically become a member of an owner's management company. That company then appoints directors to run the company. They can then appoint an agent who contracts people like gardeners, electricians and cleaners to carry out day-to-day work in the development.
When we were buying, our solicitor had told us that you would be part of a company. I understood that. But I suppose what I didn't understand was the range of services that have to be provided to a management company. I was ignorant to the amount of services and then certainly the cost of those services.
Deirdre soon came face to face with what happens when communal costs don't get paid.
One weekend the rubbish wasn't collected, and I thought that was very strange because we were paying our service charges, and I contacted Fingal County Council and they said to me, "I'm sorry, but your bill hasn't been paid."
Deirdre found out that the management company had made a loss of €131,000 in 2005, with serious consequences for every owner in the development.
We had a judgment registered against our management company, and no one at that stage could buy or sell their unit.
Deirdre and some other owners decided to get involved as directors of the owner's management company, hoping to cut costs, starting with electricity bills.
We looked around and we saw that the corridor lighting was on 24/7. So we sourced a new light fitting, and that just comes on and off as people move by the light. We've probably halved our electricity. We're down, I think, at about 47,000.
With new owner-directors involved, costs were cut on items like insurance and agents' fees. Each two-bed unit has saved €900 a year in service charges, as the cost fell from €1,900 in 2004 to just €1,000 in 2013. While the management company went from $131,000 in the red to having $307,000 in its rainy day fund for bigger expenses.
It really comes down to finding the few people within every development who have it in them to stand up and say, you know what, I've had enough and I'm prepared to do this now.
When many of these developments were first built, the management company was controlled by the developer, not the owners themselves.
Typically, the developers remained in control of that owner's management company for years and years after owners bought into the development, and the developers still in control. They essentially treated the owner's management company as being their own. When work needed to be done, they brought in their own suppliers, or maybe they sent in their own employees to deal with whatever the issue was, and then raised invoices into the owner's management company. So while the owners were paying for works that were actually being done, there was no competition around the provision of services.
In Garryglass, Athenry, County Galway, some owners were unhappy with how their management company was being run and decided to get involved as directors.
We felt that fees were increasing every year, so we started to ask questions about how we could get a better deal for the estate.
As directors, they could examine the accounts to see where they could make savings.
Basically what we discovered was that the owner management company for the estate had been charged for a maintenance contract to service a treatment system. Now it turns out that we don't have a treatment system.
There was supposed to be a treatment plant in here, and we were paying for this treatment plant to be cleaned and maintained, but when we found out, when we searched and delved in deeper, we realised that there isn't actually a treatment plant here at all. It's just a pump station. So we were actually paying for a thing that didn't exist.
The property owners in Garryglass are trying to resolve the issue of why they were charged for a service they could never have used. The new owner directors have decided to appoint a new management agency who have shopped around for better prices.
They were able to go out, get a new insurance quote, so our insurance halved. They were able to get a better deal as far as, changing light bulbs, cutting the grass and that sort of thing. And also, their fees are €2,000 less than the previous managing agent was charging.
Owners getting involved resulted in savings in 1 year of over €6,000, more than €70 per house and €200 per apartment.
I live here, and I like to know that the place I live in, I have control of what goes on in it. I think the more people there are directors, the better, because where they live, they have a say of what goes on around them.
Bill Tyson reporting there.